Tenet, the latest movie from Christopher Nolan, is an ambitious, confusing and amazing movie with a lot of depth. For a non-spoiler review, keep watching. Tenet's basic premise is simple. Our protagonist is a spy whose mission is to stop World War III. Easygoing, right? Well, not really. The level of attention to detail in this movie is second to none. The fact that one person came up with such a tight, unique way of exploring themes such as time, love, humanity and control is something that you really only see once in a lifetime. As many other reviewers note, this feels thematically similar to Inception, but maybe only superficially. But here's the tricky part. If this was an ordinary time, I would recommend you go out and watch this movie as soon as you can. But we don't live in ordinary times. I can only recommend that you watch this when it is safest for you to do so, because whilst this is a great movie, you should not risk the health and safety of those around you in order to go and watch it. For my final, non-spoilery thoughts, go to this time code. Now, into the spoiler portion. The protagonist, played by John David Washington, is a spy who is tested to be part of an organisation, Tenet. This organisation is focused on one thing, preventing World War III from occurring. The first 20 or so minutes may feel like a bit of a fetch quest, but in a very Nolan-esque way similar to Inception, where he's gathering the people needed to complete the mission. He meets Neil, played by Pattinson, who helps him break into the house of an Indian billionaire arms dealer to get the information necessary to get to his end target, a man named SATOR. In order to get to SATOR, he must first get close to SATOR's wife, Kat, and he does this by using knowledge of a painting by an artist named AREPO. That painting, or rather its duplicate, was sold to SATOR by his wife with the knowledge that it was a forgery. Kat reveals to Washington that Satan knew it was a forgery and is using it as blackmail over her in order to subdue her into staying into the relationship. It's just one of the many things that add up to this toxic and abusive marriage that SATOR has created. Things happen and they all wind up meeting, not before SATOR tries to kill Washington multiple times. At this point, it's probably a good time to mention that I haven't said Washington's character's name, and that's because he doesn't have one. He is just the protagonist. I didn't realise it until I was typing out this review, then I had to Google it, and yeah, this fact is what I think really made Tenet shine for me. This was as much of a story as it was a class in storytelling. In order to have a compelling story, you need to have a narrative, a protagonist, and an antagonist. These are all movable pieces when crafting a story, and while we're being led down one path, let's call it Path A, where the protagonist of our story is Washington's character, we may also view that story in reverse, or Path B. In Path B, SATOR is the protagonist whose plan is foiled. When you watch the story from SATOR's perspective, you can really buy into him as being a tragic hero whose failure to complete the task at hand is owed to his antithesis. But, like all good stories, the middle of it is where the meat is. At the middle, after the SATOR and after the AREPO, there is the Tenet. And what exactly is the Tenet? As I said before, Tenet is the organisation, but the organisation doesn't have much of a presence because, as it turns out, Washington is the organisation. Whilst we follow one agent of Tenet, Washington's character, he is merely that, an agent. Tenet is a belief or a principle, and its meaning can be extended to consider a pillar, something that represents an overall system. In my view, the character we follow is just a manifestation of what the organisation is, which is cemented by the midpoint of the film, where we go from seeing time flow one way to seeing time flow the opposite way, and we see both versions of Washington displace one another from their respective timelines. I actually had to check my watch once I realised what was happening to see if it was in fact the midpoint of the film, and yeah, it was. There's a lot more that I didn't get into here. There's a lot of symbolism, visual cues, hidden details, and some solid, if not trite, twists. But that's part and parcel for a Nolan movie. This movie is one that will keep on giving the more you look into it. You'll leave it feeling a lot more satisfied than you did with Inception, and probably a lot more confused than you did with Interstellar. I'm still trying to wrap my head around it, but I think that's the mark of a good movie. I don't need to understand every single thing straight away to know that I liked it. If you have a chance to watch it and it's safe to do so, I highly recommend going to see it. If it's not safe to do so, well, just wait until it is. It'll still be there when you're ready. But that's been it. Thanks so much for watching, everyone stay safe, and I will see you all for the next one.